Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Andrew. I can hear you.
Hey, good.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. I can see you and hear you just fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Back
Thanks.
to reality,
That's
right?
right.
Yes.
It's a crazy reality it is too.
I know, but we're here.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna get through this meeting, so we should be good. I haven't had a chance to talk to Claudia yet about the recording or putting the uploaded meetings that have the past meetings on our website, but it's in the works. So
Okay.
in case,
So that's good to know.
yeah. So that part's looking good.
Sweet. So is Garrett already on, or is he coming in going to be live with us here today?
I'm not sure if he's going to be in person.
Okay.
I do know that he is going to be running the presentation, though,
Okay.
from reading the email from Claudia. So it looks like he will be helping out with that part.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if he's going to be in. He has the information for the conference room, so he should have that. I'll reach out to him. I'll ask him if he's going to be in the office.
Okay. So we have two requests to speak, right? We have Michelle McCurdy, and do we have another? Who's the other one?
The other one, I'm sorry. Let me
No
go
worries.
back to my.
See if I can have it in my notes.
We had the from the previous meeting. There was someone who wanted to speak. So there was an email sent out September 1st saying you're receiving this because you had submitted a request to speak, and basically that we had ran out of time. So I believe that if we do have other speakers, it would be Lori Saldana or Lori
That's
Saldana.
right. Yeah, Lori Saldana.
She wanted to comment on item 8 on the agenda from the August 25th meeting.
Okay.
And I believe it was just that other person. I haven't seen anyone respond to that email after September 1st.
Okay.
So Michelle McCurdy and then Lori Saldana for public comment.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then I'll check it again. I'm looking at the HRC email inbox now, and I haven't seen anything else come in. So I'll periodically check it before the meeting starts.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Now, do we send the speaker slips to the entire commission before? No, we don't. Okay. Yeah. I don't think we do.
That one from Michelle, I sent it just to the HRC staff because we sent it. Yeah, but to the entire commission, I don't.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we do.
I don't think Claudia was doing that, but she would send it to all of our own, our internal staff.
I'll do that.
And then let me start up the Teams meeting since we're getting close already on time.
Hey, Denise. Denise?
I'm sorry, Andrew, I was muted.
Oh, no worries. So you're the host, right?
Yes,
So will you be making people panelists and handing over the permissions and all that today?
that's correct. I'll be,
Okay.
as the attendees join the meeting, I go through my list. Did you receive it? I just want to
I
make
did.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe, as our staff and our attendees join, I promote them to a panelist role. And
Okay.
I can also add, I can create a co-host or make anybody a host, so that way they would have control. If for any reason we need to give them control for the slides or PowerPoint slides, I believe that they can do that. I reached out to Garrett. I haven't heard back from him.
Okay.
Oh, actually, there he is. He said yes, he is in the office today.
Okay.
Um, I'm just gonna send him a quick reminder of where you guys are because just in case he may have gone to the Drake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just text him back saying rooms 207 C and D, so that way he
Okay.
has it.
Good.
But yeah, he is in the office, so he'll be able to assist with the slides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. So
And
right
and
now I have you, Elizabeth Bustos, and Rachel Witt as panelists.
perfect. And Natalia may or may not be joining us this morning, depending on what she has going on at the EOC. She's
Okay.
actually supporting the buyers doing
Okay.
transactions.
I understand. Okay. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hey, Denise.
Yes, Andrew.
So when the commission members are requesting to speak, I forget how they do that. Do they do that through the chat or do they do that through raising their hands?
When the commission members want to speak during the meeting, they can raise their hand with the chat feature, so they can just
Got it.
they hover over their name and then they can raise hand. But there are instances where if their video is turned on, they may be raising their hand in the video. So I just try to be conscious and look,
Yeah.
looking at that, and then I will notify our team if somebody has their hand raised. And then as they get called on, I lower their hand so we know who's already spoken.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Good morning, Chair Nash. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Good.
Good. Thank you for, I heard the piece on raising your hand because you guys watch that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
I will miss it. I want to make sure everybody can speak and not be overlooked.
Yeah, we hear you. Definitely going to be watching.
Okay. Did everybody have a good weekend? Did you guys get some time? Oh, Kristen.
Got a little bit of time. It's hot and there's fires out there now, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I try to stay in, so I don't really, and I have air conditioning, so I'm in a whole nother world.
That's good.
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
It was great. Got a lot of rest.
That's good.
Yeah.
So did you see the email that came from Commissioner Roberts this morning pertaining to the fires, actually?
I see a lot of posts on Facebook, vaccine trials, Is it a yes or is it a no? No. I'm just no.
Morning, Garrett.
Good morning, everybody. I'm trying to get my picture, a live one.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, boy. Good morning.
Good morning, Kenya.
Hi.
Howdy.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Helps if I turn the camera on. Gina, again, thank you for the information. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. I happen to have had it right in front of me, but it was really convenient. So,
Good morning.
howdy.
Good morning.
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 Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
The screen is filling up.
Yeah, it's blowing up now.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Buenos
Hola,
dias.
¿cómo está?
Good morning.
All my Spanish. I'm sorry. That's it.
Muy bien, gracias. I just got
I
done.
admit I understood that part.
I just got done doing an incredible podcast, and maybe most of you will know who it is because the young people I walked with this morning had no idea. Linda Ronstadt.
No way.
And the walkers that I walk with for every day for Breonna Taylor, they go, Linda Ronstadt, who's that?
Yeah. I thought she was disabled.
Yeah, she has Parkinson's. So unlike my other podcast with her, out of respect for her, we just did audio.
Oh.
And she does
has-
see a little bit difficulty. Yeah,
Has she been admitted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yet?
she has.
Oh, good.
Nice. Nice.
She wasn't able to go, but Don Henley and Glenn Fry from the Eagles received it for her because she launched their career. One of them was a drummer.
Really?
Yeah. Now somebody's going to say, who is the Eagles?
Yeah.
I remember when she was Jerry Brown's girlfriend.
That's right.
Yes, that's right. Wow. Ooh, we're telling our age, y'all.
Hey, I do old. It's okay. I can live with that. I survived. Okay.
Yes.
Donna Summers, I did survive. Thank you.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Good morning, Chair Nash. I think we do have a quorum, so if
Oh,
you would like to
great.
get started, it is 10 a.m. So
All right.
at
Let's
your
call-
convenience.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Chair Ortiz. Commissioner Ortiz. Commissioner Santos.
Here.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Gore and Commissioner Desert are absent. Commissioner Watson.
Present.
Commissioner Evans.
Here.
Chairwoman Nash.
Here.
Commissioner Morones.
Present.
Commissioner Roberts.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Sanders is absent. Commissioner Chasen.
Present.
Commissioner Clark.
Present.
Commissioner Taylor.
Present.
Commissioner Ramirez. Commissioner Ramirez. Commissioner Chavez Peterson.
Present.
Commissioner Issa.
Present.
Commissioner Garcia.
Present.
Commissioner Sawyer. Commissioner Soy. Commissioner Harris.
Present.
Commissioner Stefan.
Present.
Commissioner Hussain,
Present.
Commissioner Katula,
Present.
Vice Chair Artan,
Present.
that completes the roll.
Great. Okay. Public comment, please.
Chairwoman, we have one member of the public who wishes to speak and another member of the public who's carried over from the previous meeting. I don't think Lori Saldana has logged in. If she has, Lori Saldana, you are welcome to comment.
Okay.
Okay, not hearing anything from Lori Saldana. We will move on to Michelle McCurdy. If Michelle McCurdy is on the line, you are welcome to speak. Okay, hearing no public comment, that concludes public comment at this time. Oh,
Okay.
hold on one second, Chairwoman Nash. We do have a member who has their hand up, and that is 672 has their hand up. Could we please unmute 672 so that person can provide public comment?
72 is unmuted.
Okay. Well, hearing none, that concludes public comment. If we have public comment in the chat, we will carry that person over till the next meeting if necessary.
Okay. Great. We're now going to introduce a new commissioner member.
Okay, Chairwoman Nash, I don't think Commissioner Jonas is here.
Okay.
So we can move on to the next agenda item.
Okay. Rules of our next agenda item 5 is rules of order. Okay. Let's can you put that up on the screen? Okay, I would like to read real quickly the rules of order. And so let me just go into this so that we want to ensure our meetings are organized, that they start on time, and that they end on time with a hard stop at noon. And more importantly, we want to ensure that everyone has a voice in our meeting. So rules of order is, I will read them just to cover them real quick. Arrive to the meeting on time, having read the agenda items, be respectful of others who are speaking, remain on mute until it is your turn to speak and avoid interrupting others. Raise your hand to be called on by the chair. Do not speak until called on by the chair. Each commissioner will be allowed no more than 3 minutes of time to speak on an item, and those who have not spoken will be given an opportunity to speak before anyone who has previously spoken on the item agenda. Keep discussions focused on the agenda item. I wanted to remind everyone of the importance of our rules of order. Do not use the chat function for any discussion. The chat function should only be used to announce your arrival or departure from the meeting, or if you're having IT problems. Be clear when making a motion or taking an action. I move, the commission nominate to the commission, I second that motion. Commissioner correspondence regarding agenda items will be distributed to the commission on the Monday before the meeting and will be posted onto the commission website or webpage. And the chair will adjourn the meeting promptly at the designated stop time. Any item on the agenda which has not been fully discussed or heard will carry over to the next commission meeting.
I make a motion to accept your rules of order.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion. Norma.
Thank you, Norma. Any discussion? Okay. We take a vote? Do we accept the rules of order?
So this was not an action item,
Okay,
so we don't necessarily need to vote on this item.
okay, all right. Just for information. Thank you, Andrew.
No problem.
Let's go to the process for commission nominations. We have 7 open seats. And this is a carryover from our August 25th meeting. And if we could talk about the process again, I hope everyone has had time to review all the materials and review them. Is this something that we need to go over? If you have any questions, could you bring them up now? I don't think I want to read all this, but I'm assuming everyone has read it. And if you have some questions, let's raise those questions now for clarification.
Good morning, Chair Nash. I did have a couple comments.
Okay.
I did have a couple comments. This is Rachel Witt from the Office of County Counsel.
Okay.
Today's item, when the commission was established, the Board of Supervisors determined that the commission would be comprised of 31 seats. Of those 31 seats, 7 members are required to be nominated by the commission. And the resolution establishing the commission also set forth what the commission should consider when making their nominations. Specifically, each commission nomination shall attempt to nominate members of the community to create a commission that is reflective of the demographics, diversity, and culture of San Diego County, including comprehensive representation of age, gender, socioeconomic status, ethnic background, culture, religion, sexual orientation, and geographical distribution, and consider the prospective commissioner's knowledge and awareness of the problems and causes of intergroup tension and conflict. Additionally, prospective members shall have demonstrated a commitment to fostering better human relations in San Diego County. Next slide, please. Persons nominated by the commission will be referred to the Board of Supervisors for confirmation and will serve a 2-year term. Next slide. Today, we will provide an update on the overview of the commission's demographics and the demographics for the county for reference. The applications were provided with your agenda materials so that you could review the information the applicant provided. The commission received 37 applications for their consideration, 1 additional since the last meeting. After Andrew goes over the demographic information, I will outline the next steps. Andrew?
Thank you, Rachel. So this next slide, we're going to start talking a little bit about the demographics. We talked about these before, but these are the updated demographics. Just want to remind folks that the commissioner data is current as of September 2nd, 2020, with 24 members total. Total number of responses may vary based on those responses. The countywide data compiled from San Diego Association of Governments, as well as the San Diego County Health and Human Services Agency. Next slide, please. So this slide shows population by supervisorial district. And as you can see, that is D4 has 36% of the commission at this point, and the lowest number is 9.1 and D2. The breakdown for those numbers are D1 has 3, D2 has 5, D3 has 2, D4 has 8, and D5 has 4 commissioners. Next slide. This next slide shows a different version of that previous slide. This is on the map, so you can see the different regions. You see where those districts are, but these are the same numbers. Next slide, please. Next slide shows age. These are the demographics for age. As you can see, the commission is made up of 15 to 24 at 24%, 25 through 44 at 28%, 45 through 64 at 24%, and 65 plus at 24%. So it's pretty much balanced. Commissioner age breakdown in numbers, 15 to 24 is 5, 25 to 44, 6, 45 to 64, 5, and 65 plus 5. Next slide, please. This is a breakdown in ethnicity for the commission versus the population. And as you could see, Hispanic Latino is 27.3%, Black African American 31.8%, White 22.73%, and Asian Pacific Islander at 9.1%, Middle Eastern or Arab at 4.6%, and Indigenous 4.6%. And the commission breakdown in numbers, Hispanic Latino 6, Whites 5, Black 7, Asian Pacific Islander 2, Middle Eastern Arab 1, and Indigenous 1. Next slide, please. And here's the gender breakdown, male and female and 1 transgender. Next slide, please. And this is the breakdown, one of the versions of the breakdown for religion, for Christian, other, and unaffiliated. Christian is identified as 65%, other at 20%, and unaffiliated at 15%. Next slide, please. And this is a religion by another data set, which breaks it down a little bit more for different religions. See, commission is made up of 5% Jewish, 15% Muslim, and 0 in the other categories. And you can see how that respects the region. Next slide. Sexual orientation, heterosexual 85%, LGBTQ 15%. Those numbers break down into 17 for hetero and 3 for LGBTQ plus. Next slide. And that concludes the presentation on the demographics. Is there anybody who would like to go back and see any of the slides before we move on to the next steps? The next steps are to review the 37 applications, consider the factors stated in the resolution, make nominations, or determine what our process will be for next steps. So is there anybody who would like to go back? I see Commissioner Roberts, if you had your hand up. No? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to go back and look at the demographics. I wanted to make a proposal.
Okay. Okay, not seeing anyone's hand up. So I'll turn it back over to Rachel. I'm sorry, I'll turn it back over to Rachel to conclude the presentation.
If we could just go to the next slide. Great. So in terms of next steps now, the commission can begin nominating individuals from the current pool of applicants. The commission can ask for additional applications, or the commission can also choose to proceed under a member proposal, such as Commissioner Roberts' proposal, which was submitted with your meeting materials previous to the meeting. Commission approved nominations will be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors for confirmation, and depending upon when those nominations are made by the commission, it will take time for the individuals to be seated as voting members of the commission, based on the timing of when these nominations are made. Nominations or a desire to approve a specific proposal requires a motion, second, and an approval by a majority of the commission, which is 13. Chairwoman Nash, I would hand it back to you to begin the discussion.
Okay. I do have one question, I'm sorry, in regards to the slide, the demographic slide on age. What was the number for 44, let's see, 45 to 64? Okay. And what was the number, Andrew?
So Chairwoman Nash, the number for 45 to 64 was 5 commissioners.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in terms of procedure, does anyone have any questions about the information that's been presented to us at all?
Commissioner Morones has had his hand up.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
My question is in reference to the organizations. I'm pretty clear on people nominating, the people that are applying and all that. But as far as organizations, like Chicano Federation or something like that, how does that go? How does that work? Is that also part, should have that been part of the 31 that have, or the 37 that applied, or how do the organizations, there's already 7, let's say we're gonna go to 8 or 9 or whatever, how does that work?
Resolution creating commission requires the commission to make nominations of individuals. And so it would not, oh, sorry. My earphones were having problems. The resolution creating the nomination, the resolution creating the commission requires the commission to make nominations of individuals. It would, and not organizations. And so it would be permissible for the commission to take action to recommend to the board particular groups, but not organizations. However, that would, just so that you know, delay the ability for the commission to seat commissioners, because it would simply be a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, and then the Board of Supervisors would need to amend its resolution. And so if the commission, I mean, currently the commission has been directed to nominate individuals from the current pool of applicants. And so that's what you're authorized to do today.
Okay. Any other questions? So the question today is, how would we like to proceed? Do you want to nominate individuals from the current applications?
This is Chairman Watson. Do we have a listing of all of the 37 applicants that we are to be selecting from? Has that gone out to everyone?
I received the applications. It was in one of the emails that was sent with the agenda.
That's correct, Ernest. It was sent out, I believe, at the previous meeting and at this meeting, with the additional new one application that came in.
Okay. So how many received the applications? I guess we need to start with that question. Has everyone reviewed the applications?
So this is Commissioner Watson. That's my issue. For some reason, it didn't come through on my,
Oh dear.
So
Okay.
that's why I'm a little bit lost about who is the 37 people and an additional one.
Right. Well, yeah. One of the preparations for the meeting would have been to review the current applicant pool. I'm assuming, if I don't hear any other response to that everyone else was able to review the current applications in the pool?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. How do we handle the fact that Commissioner Watson did not receive the applications?
I don't want us to delay anything. This is Commissioner Watson. Let's move forward, and
Okay.
I'll catch up with everybody else.
Chairwoman
Okay.
Nash, we do have 2 members who have their hands raised. I see
Okay.
Nicole
Okay.
Murray Ramirez. And I believe Lori Saldana has actually come into the meeting, so we'll discuss what public comments looks for her maybe at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
But Nicole Murray Ramirez, if you would like to speak, if you are unmuted. Can we please unmute Nicole, Commissioner Ramirez?
Yes, this is Nicole Marie Ramirez. I would like to nominate Tammy Giles of the ADL.
I second Summer Stefan if we're on that item.
We're not quite on that item yet. I want to make sure that everyone is clear on the fact that you were able to review the current applications other than Commissioner Watson. And okay, so no hand is raised in regards to application review. Everybody's comfortable. Okay, now, it appears now that people are ready to proceed with nominating individuals.
Chairwoman Nash?
Yes,
Since
sir.
there was a motion and there was a second, we would need to
Okay.
vote on that individual.
Okay. Seems like we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. To me, I wanted to make sure everyone would have the chance to review the current applicants in the pool, first of all. And then secondly, are we going to proceed with nominating individuals?
Yes.
How do we handle that? Is it a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does that require a vote?
So Chairperson Ramirez, is that a revised motion? What we could do is revise a motion, and that way we can move forward with that.
Okay.
The revised motion would be, I think what I heard is that you would like to move forward with discussion of the applications and not vote on an individual at this time.
Right.
I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion?
I'm actually quite confused right now what we're doing. If you could explain that, I would appreciate it.
Okay. I'm a very process-oriented person. I come from HR, so I'm very step by step. So we're going to proceed. I wanted to make sure, first of all, that everyone had the chance to review the current applications. It is my understanding that Commissioner Watson did not receive the opportunity to review the applications. She has allowed us to proceed. So I want that documented in the record. And then the next piece is, are we going to proceed with nominating individuals from the pool? Have we agreed to do that?
I would like to make a motion about my procedure that I proposed.
Okay. Okay.
Am I recognized?
Yes, you may. Yes, you are recognized, Commissioner Roberts.
After the last meeting, I sat down and I tried to figure out how we could come up with a method to recognize the existence that we need to include representatives of various groups in the organization or in the community. And so I proposed a document which I had sent out, which had us go through and nominate individuals that possibly represent an organization like Nicole Ramirez, just made somebody to represent the ADL group. But we can't really recommend a group. But if we find that there are underrepresented groups that we want to make sure are represented, I presented a proposal that would allow us to go through and determine 5 groups of the 7 that we might want to attach an individual to the commission, and then reserve 2 of the remaining commission seats for just outstanding individuals that we didn't have to be associated with a particular group. And so I presented a process for making that happen so that we could all have the opportunity to have input without going through and the first 5 people that get to speak get theirs approved and nobody else does. So it was an opportunity to have everybody that wished to make a recommendation to a person to represent an underrepresented organization to make that thing and make that recommendation. And then we would take those recommendations and basically present them in random order to the, so that there's no favoritism attached to them. And then we vote on 5 of those as as a commission, and then those 5 people would be sent to the commission, and then we'd look at representing or nominating and seating 2 additional individuals to do that. And so I'd like to put forward that motion to accept that process if anybody else would like to.
Chair Nash, am I recognized to ask a question?
Sure.
Thank you.
Go
ahead.
I see, let's see, Shane Harris, Commissioner Harris, and then Commissioner Chavez Peterson, and I see Commissioner Choi, so if you can go in that order.
Thank you, Chair.
Sure.
Member Roberts, are you asking essentially for 5 of these appointed individual seats to become member organizations that the commission appoints? I'm a little confused.
No, our commission, the resolution does not allow us to actually designate an organization per se, but it does not forbid us from finding an organization that represents an underrepresented segment of our community and recommending an associated person for nomination to fill those seats. Otherwise, we have to go to the Board of Supervisors and delay this process longer.
And just for clarification, I just wanted to clarify that you can identify underrepresented groups. However, you're not to, because of potential conflict of interest, identify particular organizations. So I just wanted to make that clarification.
Understood. So if you wanted to talk about the ADL, then you'd be talking about an underrepresented group of Jewish individuals, for instance.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Chavez Peterson?
Yes, so I just wanted to clarify from staff. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I mean, I'm very clear based on the presentation that you just gave that we as a commission do not have authority to change the number of organizational seats or appoint. We're only tasked with the responsibility of nominating individuals to fill those 7 seats, correct? I just want to be very clear, make sure I'm understanding clearly.
That is correct.
Okay. So I actually have some discussion or questions for the commissioner's proposal, but I like the thought that went into it. And I think I'm kind of ready to second that motion with maybe a little bit of discussion or maybe a conversation, which is I would like for us to agree based on that demographic presentation that staff did where we agree, like, here are the gaps that exist, right? We know there's gaps in terms of district representation. I think D1 and D3 didn't have as much representation. So there's, geographic representation, is there, religious gaps? Is there, race and ethnicity gaps, so that we can all kind of, if there's a process, Chair, where we can agree, here are the 3 or 4 gaps that exist, right? Whatever those are. And just to make sure that as commissioners, we all agree that those are the gaps. And then I would be ready to support the recommended process in terms of, let's look at our current pool of 37 applicants. We've, with the exception of 1 commissioner, we've gotten those applicants, and let's try to identify folks from that pool of applicants to fill those gaps. And I'm ready to kind of support the motion of, I believe, Commissioner Roberts. Sorry, yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Choi? Choi?
Yes. Thank you, Chairwoman Nash. Just want to say thank you to Andrew for presenting the demographic information, and want to echo Commissioner Chavez Peterson's comments, and also suggest maybe because since the pool applicants is so large with 37 applicants, is there a process where we can use an online form where each commissioner can evaluate based on the demographic information, based on Commissioner Roberts' proposal of, making sure we have underrepresented groups pointed to this remaining 7 vacant seats, and use a form that we can all agree on, and then use that data to help us make the decision to fill the vacant seats. And then I think Commissioner Chavez-Peterson last time recommended that, we need to just make sure we have the full commission on, and then in the meantime, we'll figure out what's the best way for either organizational or demographic representation going forward as it relates to the permanent seats. Knowing that that will take the supervisor approval, we can still expedite this process of filling the 7 seats, with Commissioner Roberts' proposal, and possibly using technology to help aid us and guide us through that process. And then we can also have that discussion next time about whether we need to reshuffle the organizational permanent seats.
Any more comments, discussion?
Yes, Chair Nash, am I recognized to speak?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So I support your motion, Ms. Roberts. Member Roberts, but I think that I really had a question for you, Andrew. There's various other breakdowns of race, ethnicity, age, religion. How about on a social landscape of representation on the commission when it comes to human relations? There's so many different sides to social, I don't know if I would call it social representation, but different sectors represented. So the formerly incarcerated, foster care. So there's different social, I don't know if I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, social demographics. But is it possible to also have a breakdown of that to see how well represented we are in context of different social communities that aren't broken down here?
Commissioner Harris, that's a good question. So for one, these demographics are self-identified. So these are the demographics that we collected from the application process. So it would be probably a little tough to have to collect the type of demographics that you may be looking for. But even then, we would need to find out specifically what categories that you're thinking about, because those are some interesting ones. The foster care you mentioned.
Yeah, survivors of violence, homelessness, the disabled.
Right. So those categories would have to be self-identified by the individual members of the commission. And I'm not sure legally if that's something that we could ask. And so I think I might want to defer to counsel on to kind of chime in on that question as well.
Well, I think legally, before Rachel Witt goes, I think legally there is a exception in regard to asking people's background. And maybe if it was in the background aspect of where people are coming from, that would be a way. But Rachel?
Without going through each one of the items that you had mentioned, my recommendation is that if there are particular areas that you are looking for information related to who on the commission may or may not have particular experiences, you can certainly ask for that information to be brought back. And essentially a time would be needed to do some sort of survey for information, and it would be voluntary information that people may or may not want to provide. But if that's something that you and the commission would like to see come back, we would just need specific categories of coverage that you are interested in.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Chair Nash and the commission that we review I don't know if it's in context social demographics, but people's life experience or background, because I do think that this commission will be dealing with a lot of human relations, human rights issues, and it would be important that this commission is represented from all kinds of background and life experiences to relate to people that may be coming to this commission. I think that that's important. I don't want to labor Member Roberts' vote or the motion, but I would like to ask that we review that as well, and that we take that into consideration in the shaping of the commission.
Okay. I would agree with that particular piece. Let me just, based on my analysis of the demographics, this is what I came up with, that, and this is just an example, just of my analysis of what that was just presented to us, was from a geographical standpoint, we're weak in D1 and we're weak in D3. I'm talking about terms of representation. Terms of age, 45 to 64, I saw that we were weak. Terms of ethnicity and race, I saw we were weak in Hispanic, white, Asian, and Pacific Islander, just based on the analysis. I saw that we were somewhat weak in the Buddhist category, Jewish category, a little weak there as well. From a, I did say, yeah, from a Hispanic standpoint. And then just looking at the overall commission, this is just my analysis. I saw also a huge, and I'm thinking about what's going on in San Diego right now. I saw a huge void, unless I was mistaken, in the business sector, small businesses, business leaders. I didn't see a whole lot of representation there. So that's just my analysis, but I think it speaks to what you all have raised as what I would consider application review criteria that we might want to agree on if we can, and then proceed with evaluating the current pool that that would fill these voids, or in even the case of the current commission makeup, we may have individuals that fit some of the needs that have been raised today from the business community. Maybe I just missed it on the applications, but I'm just saying that was the analysis that I put together. That is an example of I think what we all are talking about in terms of what we want to use for criteria in order to evaluate the current applicant pool. So, how do we want to proceed?
Commissioner Morones has his hand up.
Oh,
literally.
okay.
Yes, thank you. I agree with pretty much everybody's comments, but I have a question. Is there a need, because there are inequities, as have been mentioned, is there a need that we would select, vote, or whatever it's called, the 7 spots now? Why couldn't we do 3, for example, and move on, as a member Norma Chavez had mentioned last time, move on with the business of business? I mean, I don't think we have to have a full commission to be doing things, because this could go on for 4 or 5 meetings to have the perfect system. But if we put, let's say 3, we elect 3 today and get on with the business. And then maybe next time we elect 2 or whatever. That's just a comment, if that's possible. And if that is possible, I hope that we can move in that direction. I don't know if we need to make a motion, but wanted to find out if that was possible.
This is Rachel Witt. I can answer that question. The resolution that creates your commission provides that once a full commission is seated, then the commission can begin to draft its duties and responsibilities. And so until the full seats are seated, which means until the commission makes its 7 nominations and they're confirmed by the board, the full commission cannot adopt its duties and responsibilities. So that would need to come first.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Commissioner Harris, anyone else? Commissioner Harris? I don't see anyone else's hand raised. Commissioner Harris?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Rachel, for clarifying Member Peterson's concerns in regard to moving forward with taking actions and beginning to do what the Commission does. It was rooted in the original resolution that we would have everyone seated prior to beginning that work. I do think that Mr. Morones brings up a good point, and I'd like to play, in favor of that. I think that the idea that we could start selecting, I particularly see a few applicants that I think are favorable to what we've already acknowledged as missing. And I would think that would be necessary, because it kind of sounds like we're going to do another assessment of more time to review the applications, which is good. But then at the same time, there may be an opportunity to nominate people today. So I would be open to that as well.
Chairperson Nash, I don't know where the hand button, may I speak? This is Summer Stephan.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the rules you gave at the beginning. They're excellent, and I think helping us. I want to thank Commissioner Roberts for taking the time to listen to everybody and actually find a perfect cross between the different concerns representing organizations, but following our rules. I think she had a motion and a second, which sounds fantastic. And I'm also hopeful that you would, consistent with that, take up Commissioner Ramirez's first nomination, which fits within, and my second, which fits within having an organization and a person represented. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Stephan. Okay, so we're going to move on to anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Roberts, I see your hand up. I see Commissioner Watson's hand up.
I'm wondering if this is the appropriate time to call a question.
So for clarification, this is Rachel Witt. We have two motions on the floor. There was a motion by Commissioner Ramirez and a second for the individual nomination. And then there was also a motion by Commissioner Roberts, and I did not hear a firm second from Commissioner Chavez Peterson, but both of those motions, the one with the first and a second, that question can be called. And if there is a second for Commissioner Roberts, then that motion can also be acted upon.
Okay.
I'll second Commissioner Roberts. This is Shane Harris, Member Harris.
Okay.
If Norma Chavez Pearson is not going to second it.
I didn't want to speak out of turn, but I'm happy to make my second firmer, but whatever, whoever you have on record, but second the motion, whoever you wanted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So it's my understanding we have two motions on the floor now?
That's correct, Chairwoman, and it would be appropriate to do a roll call vote on both motions.
Okay, let's do the first motion first, and there was a second.
Okay.
All right, and there was discussion. So let's do the vote for roll call.
All right. Commissioner Ortiz?
Yes.
Commissioner Santos?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Gore is absent. Commissioner Dessert is absent. Commissioner Watson? Commissioner Watson?
Need to unmute.
Yes.
I believe, okay. Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Evans, I believe you may need to unmute. Okay. Commissioner or Chairwoman Nash?
Yes.
Commissioner Morones?
To be clear, which motion is this?
This is the first motion
Which is?
for Nicole, for Commissioner Ramirez, your motion to move to nominate one individual.
Timmy Giles.
And
Yes.
who is that individual?
Timmy Dials, is that what you said?
Yeah, from the ADL.
Timmy Dials from the ADL.
I vote yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Roberts,
I vote yes.
Commissioner Sanders. Absent. Commissioner Chasen,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez. There's your motion.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Issa, Commissioner Issa,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Soy,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Stefan,
Yes, and I had the second on it.
thank you. Commissioner Hassani, Commissioner
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Katula,
Yes.
Commissioner Artan,
Yes.
thank you.
That motion passes with all commissioners voting aye. And so the second motion on the table for adopting Commissioner Roberts' proposal has been motioned and second, and so that is ready for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Yes.
Commissioner Santos,
Sorry, really quick, can you all remind us what the second motion was?
Commissioner Roberts, would you mind repeating your motion, please?
It's the motion to accept the proposal that was sent out with the package to basically now it would be the 4 more seats that we talk about, finding community organizations that or community groups that we need to have represented and then nominate a commissioner to fill that representative, and then have some sort of a process, and they're kind of a random process so that we vote on them in a random order so that there's no favoritism just by the roll call order. And it also limits some discussion in terms of amount of time each person can do and how many nominations each person can make.
And I'm happy to jump in here. Right now, we have one motion for 1 seat, and so that means there's 6 remaining seats.
Right.
And so if you didn't want to, I know your original proposal had 5, identifying 5 underrepresented communities. You can continue to stay with the 5 underrepresented communities, or you can change it. So if you could just clarify what your motion is, just so that
I would revise the motion to the next 4. So we would still have 5 related to community organizations, one of which has already been filled by Commissioner Ramirez, and then remaining 2 individuals that we would nominate unaffiliated with any particular group.
Thank you for that clarification.
We'll start the vote over for that revised motion. All right.
Well, wait a minute. Before we
Whoa.
Chair Nash?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I had my hand raised. I wanted to know if I could address a question, please.
Yes. And Commissioner Watson, did you have a question as well?
Yes, I have.
All right.
Okay,
so
I'll let Commissioner Watson go before me.
Oh.
Because this is, I need some clarification because we keep going back and forth between individuals and organizations. And I understood from staff that we were to only nominate individuals, not necessarily individuals that represent an organization. So I want us to be clear because it seems like it continues to move in different directions at different times. Are we supposed to, those 7 seats were only to be individuals who could be community individuals, but they weren't necessarily linked to a particular organization?
Right. The idea is to identify underrepresented groups and then as an associated individual for that group.
Okay, so the unidentified groups, like we just voted on an individual who represented ADF.
Okay, well, let's use the first candidate as an example. That person was a member of the Jewish community and happens to be associated with ADL, but that wasn't why we recommended and voted for, to install Tammy Gills as an individual, not as a representative of ADL.
And I think that's where the confusion continues to be, because we're saying it simultaneously the same thing. We say individual and then we say organization and whatever. I want it to be very clear if this is what we're tasked to do. If we're identifying individuals, we don't necessarily need to.
We're identifying. The proposal is to identify underrepresented communities.
Okay, that's
which is kind of what Chair Nash was speaking to that point. And then as a function of these underidentified communities, we would choose a representative to represent that underrepresented community.
Okay.
Right. That's underrepresented communities. Mm-hmm.
It's not directly related to a group.
No.
Right.
Or organization.
Okay, Member Watson, does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay, Commissioner Harris here.
Yes, sir.
I believe Commissioner Morones was bringing up a question that I want to bring back into the conversation before we vote on Commissioner Roberts' great proposal. I only really wanted to, since Nicole Murray Ramirez, Member Ramirez, nominated a underrepresented community, I want to bring up that the Latino community is still an underrepresented community on this commission, and I would like to bring forth adding a potential one more appointment. I would like to ask for a motion that nominates one more person to the San Diego County Human Relations Commission, that being of Estela de los Rios from District 2 in East County, but also she is a very, very respected leader in the Latino community across the county of San Diego, and I would like to move a motion asking the commission to also nominate one more person, that being of Estela de los Rios.
I second that motion. This is
hold up. Isn't it appropriate though for us to get through the first one? The motion on the first
well, the only reason, Madam Chair, the only reason why I wanted to do this before Commissioner Roberts is because Commissioner Roberts is trying to select 5 seats, and so if this seat is supported by the commission, you see what I'm saying, then it would make Commissioner Roberts agenda item again need to be amended. So
Just
that was does that make sense?
For clarification, for the record as well, right now there's a motion on the floor for Commissioner Roberts' proposal, which is to identify the 4 underrepresented communities, and then the commission would submit nominations or names of those folks who fit those underrepresented communities to then come back for actual nominating and voting on those particular people. That would then leave, because there's been one nomination already, that would leave 2 additional seats that would be available for appointment. And so I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Harris, but this motion and second has already started to be voted on, and then your motion, in which Mr. Moroni seconded,
okay,
can
got
be
it.
done next. So there's the ability for both to occur.
Right.
We'll go ahead and go forward with the vote on Commissioner Roberts' motion.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, can we now proceed with the vote?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Commissioner Ortiz,
Yes.
Commissioner Santos,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Morones,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Chasen,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Issa,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Choi, Commissioner Soy, Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Staffen,
Yes.
Commissioner Hassan,
Yes.
Commissioner Kotula,
Yes.
Commissioner Auton.
Yes.
That motion passes with all commissioners present saying aye.
Excellent.
Thank
Great, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Roberts, for all the work and bringing some clarification and structure to this process. Appreciate that. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next piece of this application review process and nominations.
So, Chairwoman Nash, we do have
Yes.
another motion on the floor, and that was the
Okay.
motion that was moved by, I believe, Commissioner Harris.
It was to nominate Estela de los Rios.
Whoa.
Commissioner Roberts has her hand up.
Just a point of order. Now that we've approved this proposal, then now we go into the process of everybody making suggestions. Each commissioner has the opportunity to make a suggestion of what underrepresented community we should now be placing in the pool to be represented, and as opposed to immediately voting on a person to fill those vacancies.
And I had my hand up too with a question, Madam Chair.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so now that,
Commissioner,
yeah, sorry, am I okay now? Okay.
Yes, you
Thank you. I think before we move, so yes, let's follow on with Commissioner Roberts' well thought out proposal. I want to kind of reiterate that I think it's important. We have really, really good applicants. I think if we could look at almost an overlay of the gaps, right? There's district representation, D1 and D3 clearly are underrepresented in terms of geography. The things that you identified, Madam Chair, right? The Latino API community. We already just appointed someone from the Jewish faith. So I do think that we should agree again on what that criteria is, or that lens, because, you know, if we start appointing and we're just looking at one of the buckets, that they're Latino, for example, but if they're in an overrepresented geography, then we're not also meeting the needs of the region. And so this is where I do agree with Commissioner Roberts, that we step back, agree on what those, you know, what the gaps are. And then maybe, you know, we you know, Estela is one of the names. It could be other names, and then we figure out the process. But I just wanted to stress that if we can identify candidates that that can fit a couple of different criteria, it'd be great. And I also had a question for staff around Elena Perez, and it doesn't identify what district she's from, but I do think, you know, she's both Latina and also with two very, you know, with Mana and Casa Cornelia. So, but on her application, it didn't specify what district.
Right.
So, Madam Chair,
yes,
this is Member Harris. We had a motion on the floor that was seconded by Commissioner Morones. I want to be clear that Commissioner Roberts' plan, which I agree with, does not overshadow another person being appointed to the commission. It only gives a designation. It does not stop other commissioners from appointing or asking for the appointment of other commissioners. That can only be done by a vote. As I stated, Estela de los Rios is a well-esteemed leader across our county and our region, in the Latino community, for the Latino community, well-respected, and has been around a very long time, someone that I have a lot of respect for and I think needs to be appointed to this commission because of her countywide leadership. She also intersects with human trafficking, very big advocate in the human trafficking aspect, which is lacking on this commission. And so I greatly ask that we vote on my motion, which was seconded by Commissioner Morones.
We also have, I'm sorry, we also have Kenya Taylor, Commissioner Taylor's hands up, as well as Commissioner Roberts.
Yes, thank you. I realize that age and gender are very important. However, we do not have an adequate representation of Black men. A dark-skinned Black male has a lot of issues that they experience and trauma. And when we think about the reason this commission was formed, it dealt with Black men being killed. And so I think we definitely need more Latinos in the, on our commission, but we also need to make sure the voice of Black men in our community are heard, because there are different needs from a Black woman compared to a Black man. And as a mother of Black sons in District 2, where homelessness is disproportionately affecting Black men, I think it's important for us to be mindful. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Okay. So can we go back to the motion that's on the floor? Hello?
There has been a motion and a second, so if there's no further discussion, the question can be called.
I did see Commissioner Morones' hand up.
Just
and
a quick
Commissioner
comment.
Arton.
Thank you.
And Marsan, yeah.
Thank you. Just a quick comment. The commission was not formed because of the horrific situation with Black men. The commission had been previously formed for many, many issues. Commissioner Nicole Marie Ramirez was on that other commission, and there's a lot of issues, not just the horrific condition of what is happening to Black men and women. I just wanted to, that's a point of clarification. And on Estela de los Rios, she's very active also on the homeless issue and the housing issue. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, thank you for your points of clarification. All right, we're back to the motion. There was a second. Any more discussion?
We did have Commissioner Arton hands is raised,
Okay.
as well as Commissioner Roberts. And I think
All right.
Commissioner Roberts' hand has been raised for prior
I'm
to
sorry.
Commissioner Arton.
Gina, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I yield to Arton right now.
Commissioner Arton?
Yes, I want to go back to something that Commissioner Norma was saying, that we should probably, my suggestion would be for us to focus on underrepresented districts with the overlap of underrepresented communities first, to make sure, for example, like for example, somebody who's Hispanic who's from District 1. That way we are filling those seats first before we go to people from other districts who are already or like adequately represented or overrepresented on the commission. So that would be my suggestion, for us to start with districts that are underrepresented with members or people who applied who are from underrepresented communities.
So, Madam Chair, this is Member Harris.
Yes.
I recognize to speak.
Yes.
I haven't been, I was recognized in
Oh,
yield,
yes,
so
that's
I
correct.
Oh.
Sorry about that, Member Roberts.
Sorry.
My comment would be is that, okay, we came up with a plan to identify the underrepresented groups, and now we're voting for an individual. Now, if that group, the group that person represents doesn't end up in the remaining 4 organizations, we can then use the 2 remaining individual positions to seat that person if the commission thinks that's a good idea. But I think the most important thing to do at this point in time is to identify the groups that we need to have represented on the commission, and then try to find the right people to fill those voids. And then if we have extraordinary people that for some reason didn't fit into that original plan, the finding the underrepresented commission, then we still have the 2 residual individual seats that we can fill.
Thank you, Commissioner Roberts. Commissioner Harris here. My question, because I'm always looking outside of the box, it is very clear to me that we rushed to appoint Member Ramirez's suggestion, basically rushing to put someone who's appointed representing the Jewish community on this commission, but we don't see the equal rush to also appoint leadership from the Latino community. I also want to be very clear that the individual that Commissioner Ramirez was bringing forth does not represent all of the Jewish community. So yes, there will be different sectors and different aspects of different communities. And so there's no Latino that's better than another Latino. I think the point is that Commissioner Ramirez, there shouldn't have been an individual appointee then, if the goal was to assess in Commissioner Roberts' suggestion, then the goal should have just been to do that entirely and not, in fact, select an individual. So since an individual has been selected, I want to bring forth another leader who has a strong representation across the county, her leadership in human trafficking, her leadership working with the district attorney's office on a lot of important issues regarding the human trafficking issues. She's a cross-sectional and cross-intersectional organizer. She understands all of the issues that we are addressing on this commission, and her leadership to me is vitally important, representing this commission, not just as a resident of a certain district, but even more so, a representative of the Latino community, very respected across the map, and has accomplished a lot that I think she brings a lot of experience to this commission. And so I want to be very clear that Commissioner Roberts' suggestions, which I supported, does not exclude the appointment of another individual to this commission. The only way that this commission could decide to not appoint this individual is to vote against it. If you disagree with that today, you can vote against it. But the reality is that we did put one onto the commission representing the Jewish community. I think it would be remiss for us to pass up exceptional leadership in the figure of Miss Estela de los Rios. And I'm asking for this vote to be executed as there was a first and a second. Thank you.
Commissioner Watson, I believe,
one last
has
comment.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Watson has her hand up.
Okay.
I don't want to delay the vote, and if that's the process, that because I think we keep confusing the process. Shane is right. We just voted on an individual, but now we're saying we're going to have to talk about a process, and so we should have either got the process down pat first, and then continue to vote on individuals. I also want to say San Diego is a very diverse place, and we have. Like in Hoover High School, there's over 100 different languages spoken there. So we have people from various different ethnicities. Even in the Latino community, there's Puerto Ricans, there's Mexicans, there's Hondurans, there's Salvadorians, there's a whole host of different individual groups that are, and they all don't speak the same. They all don't think the same. Their experiences are different. In the Asian community, it's Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, Burmese. It's a whole variety of different people, and they all live in San Diego. So, in the immigrant community, there's Bantu Somalis, and there's all kinds of Chaldeans and different ones. There's Haitians. There's tremendous groups of diverse people. Can we get can we have a more of a collective approach to addressing some of their needs? Because I don't know we can have a commission that has over 150 or 60 people on it. We have to have some kind of standard of process, and we need to follow through on that.
Madam Chair, if I can make one more comment, this is Member Harris. I think that the question becomes, why are we in a rush? Why were we in a rush to appoint a member of the Jewish community when that member could wait, just like anybody else could wait, to wait until we go through the full process of Commissioner Roberts' suggestions? And so to me, that is already very clear in regard to the fact that commission members would be arguing another individual appointment at the cost of another. And to me, that is pure exclusionary tactics. It was a very strategic move, but there is a first and a second on the floor. And so we are today voting on the appointment of a Latina leader who is exceptional, well esteemed in the Latino community, and represents a diversity of communities in her leadership across this county. And so the question becomes, what are we more interested in regard to the individual appointment we made earlier, but now we want to pause to Commissioner Roberts' suggestion after another individual was already appointed? I think that is the mistake we're making a second time, as the way that this commission was organized picked certain groups to serve in leadership on this commission. And that is when you start messing up, when you start making an individual appointment, and then you have another motion that comes back to say, oh, wait, we need to now pause. We need to wait. We need to come back. To me, that is not a balanced approach. So I'm asking for this vote to go through. If you disagree with it, vote against it. That will say a lot about the commission, but that is how we do things. There was a motion, there was a second. You could vote for it, you could vote against it. Ms. Estela de los Rios, I bring before the commission.
Chairwoman, Commissioner Roberts and Commissioner Elliott Santos have their hands raised to speak.
Okay.
I would make a request of Commissioner Harris. Why don't you make your motion as that person being an individual and not as a representative of the community?
Commissioner Roberts, you're asking that. Say that again?
So instead of making this one of the four, make it one of the two individual recommendations, and we vote on it as an individual recommendation as opposed to one of the underrepresented community.
Oh, okay, thank you. So to be clear, this is an individual, as Nicole Murray Ramirez. My understanding was that was an individual. Is that correct, Commissioner Roberts?
Unfortunately, that one was because it was before I changed my motion to make it just four. So we still have one more individual. If we change this one to an individual one, then we'd have one additional individual. The vote on, and 4 more to represent underrepresented communities.
And why do you ask that I do that?
Well, just so that we have the opportunity to talk about
what is
the
your
other
logic?
4.
So just for clarification,
Yeah, I'm
the
confused.
motion of Commissioner Roberts was for the identification of the 4, and that motion was adopted by the commission, and so the commission will be doing that. From a legal standpoint, I view Commissioner Harris's motion as one of the 2 outside of that 4, so it would be as an individual in what you're referring to as one of those flex positions.
So then wait a minute. So legal counsel, we chose an individual in Commissioner Ramirez's.
That was before.
Which was before, but that individual was plucked out of the Commissioner Roberts motion. It was one of those people. Is that correct? Is that what I'm understanding?
The motion of Commissioner Ramirez was for an individual, and that individual was then nominated by the commission.
Okay, and so Commissioner Roberts shares that individual was one of the 4. That's what Commissioner Roberts just said in Commissioner Roberts' remarks.
One of the original 5. One of the original 5 that I proposed.
One of the original 5. So your motion came after Commissioner Ramirez's, but Commissioner Ramirez's selection was one of those 5.
Right, which is why I revised it to 4. So we still have 4, and then if you feel it, council is now recognizing that your that your recommendation is for an individual. So we'll vote on an individual, and then we'll go back to the community.
Well, I think that it's pretty interesting that, and that was not my understanding in the vote. So yeah, I think that that's okay, right? We do our homework, we come back again, we keep coming back. But at the end of the day, it looks like we pre-nominated someone from the 5, an exclusionary tactic, to then take time to linger the others. And that is what I'm hitting at, is that we pre-nominated a Jewish representative ahead of other communities that are also underrepresented as one of those 5, when it should have just been 5, your motion, and no individual selected today or nominated today, where then we can come back and all of us nominate the individuals.
But that has already occurred, so it's
right.
Like
well, I know. I'm just using my position to point out the cynicism in the leadership in regard to what we are doing here, and I want the public to know that the reality is that is what we just did. We just selected a member of the Jewish community while leaving the multiple other communities that also need to be represented on this commission as well out through a vote in Commissioner Ramirez's vote, which was to nominate a Jewish representative, a representative of the Jewish community, which also became one of the 5 communities that Commissioner Roberts brought forth in her motion, in Commissioner Roberts' motion. And so I want to be clear in your original motion, right? And so that is what I'm saying, is that is the cynicism we are looking at today. And so the fact that people would try to fight back against the nomination of Ms. Estela de los Rios shows the fact that we are selective and exclusionary in doing this work, when in fact we should have just done the motion for Commissioner Roberts' motion and left this individual appointments alone. Now we've appointed one today, so it's not fair that one was appointed and others cannot be appointed. And that is what I bring up in regard to my motion, is that Ms. Estela de los Rios surely deserves to serve on this commission. Now that we have selected a Jewish representative who's representing the Jewish community already today, my ask is that we would nominate Ms. Estela de los Rios, a well-respected leader in the Latino community who is in various sectors across this county, and someone who is very important, I think, to this commission's work. Ms. Estela de los Rios. There was a second for my motion.
And we have Commissioner Elliot Santos, and we have Commissioner Evans and Commissioner Morones. in line to speak. Commissioner Santos.
Thank you. I guess I'm kind of confused at all this process. I believe that the people on this commission were chosen because of their want to advocate for all humans. But yet the last few meetings, we have done nothing but argue and argue. And my demographic on that is indigenous. I'm one of the tiniest ones on your graph, but I'm still here to advocate for all of you and for all the people that are being mistreated. So I don't understand why there's so much animosity between all of us. I would ask that one of the earlier people who asked that we do this in a way where we look at all the applications. It does seem to me that the unfair part is for those of us who don't know all these people personally on these applications. So how do we look at them, all 37 of them, in a manner that we can all look at them and make a choice, instead of, it seems there are many predetermined choices, and then we spend so much time arguing. We're not being productive, and it doesn't feel right to me. We were all chosen because we advocate for humans. So let's try to get our commission up and running. And I would ask that you, please, let's look at the applications in a fair and reasonable manner. I don't know Mrs. Stella de los Rios, but I would like to hear about her. I would like the people who are advocating for her to tell me why I should vote for her. And I would like to go back and visit the nomination of Tammy Gillies, because I don't know her either, but when I really did an in-depth look at her application, she sits on the Human Relations Commission for the city. So her voice is already out there advocating. So why can't we have a discussion about each application in each of the areas that we're lacking, so that we can all have a right to vote instead of be a part of this argument? I'm sorry, but I'm not here to argue. I'm here to do things. I'm here so that we can protect people, all lives. I have brown sons who I worry about daily. I have family members that don't have food or housing. So let's get to the subject, people. Please, no more arguing. Let's do this in a fair manner. Put these applications up in the demographic areas that we need and let everybody vote on them. No more predetermined stuff.
Commissioner Evans.
Thank you. Wow. I'm very much in agreement with Commissioner Santos. Commissioner Harris, I really understand your need to show the public that we are transparent, and I firmly believe we are a transparent organization and that we're here to advocate for everyone. We made a decision regarding our first nominee. Now we need to move forward. Someone talked about we're confusing process with people. And I kind of agree. I understand everyone's passion and everyone's desire to be an advocate for whatever group they think they represent or actually do represent. But I think more importantly, we are a collective group, we're a cohort. We need to work together and move forward. We're about the business of the county, and we need to do the business of the county. Thank you.
Commissioner Morones.
I want to echo what Chairman Santos said. I think that was fantastic. I wish I could not have said it that way. That was very, very strong and well delivered. And I appreciate what Chairman Roberts' suggestion was, that Estella become one of the two instead of one of the groups underrepresented, because I have advocated more than anybody that the Latino group is overly underrepresented in every meeting. And so that way, if she is in the 2 people instead of the 4 groups, we still have those 4 groups, because by no means, by having Estella, if she's voted in, is there equity within the Latino community, still very much underrepresented. And then with Chairman Ortiz's comments, in the very first meeting we had, I could not believe that we were voting for an interim chair and vice chair when we didn't even know each other. And that's still continuing. That is still continuing today. So there is the motion. I think we should move forward with that motion that done by Commissioner Harris and second by me. maybe amend it so that it'd be one of the two instead of one of the four groups. You know, keeping Estela de los Rios, who I agree with what Shane has mentioned about her. She has been advocating for a lot of issues all over the county. And I don't see her as a Latina. I see her as a woman, a strong woman who deals with issues that deal with human rights. She does not care which color you are or which religion, etc. She really does practice treating people in a humane manner, and I think she'd be an excellent addition. So I stand firm with my second, maybe amend it to be from the group of two instead of four. I don't know how Shane feels about that, but I think we need to move forward with the vote. We're going to do a hard stop at 12, and we got less than 30 minutes.
This is Commission Member Harris. I would like to amend my motion. I 100% agree with Commissioner Santos' perspective. I do think that we need to get to the good work of the people. I just wanted to point out the fact that there was someone appointed today, and that person was appointed out of the 5 areas that Commissioner Roberts. I think that there is an issue here with not enough clarity being given. And on that motion, I was not clear that that individual was representing. And also, Ms. Santos pointed out the fact that that individual is represented already on another Human Relations Commission in the city of San Diego. I personally think that someone else from the Jewish community could have benefited from sitting on the county's commission, but that's just my opinion. In context of this, I will bring forth my amended motion, asking that Ms. Estela de los Rios would be appointed by the San Diego County Human Relations Commission today in one of the 2 designated seats outside of Commission Member Roberts' suggestion.
I second it once again.
I believe Commissioner Watson has her hand up to speak.
I think we have to put some context and some process behind this, because we'll be debating forever and we'll never get anything accomplished. We can't even get 2 nominations either accepted or rejected. So I think that what we have to do is have a clear process. Are we voting for 7 people, whatever category they're in today? We're voting for 2 to 3 people today, and we're gonna set aside time next meeting for the others to be voted on. Could we have some information on all the 37 other people so that when we come to the meeting next, we could have even indicated who we are nominating if we're going to nominate someone. And we'll see how many people have been nominating, but we can go through that list of people and move forward. It seems like we're just getting caught up in this whole maze of this one is good and this one is not good, or this one is good and we like this one. And we're never going to get anywhere. So I think a process has to be clear. Are we nominating 2 to 3 people today? And then we're going to have the rest of the people at the next meeting. And we're also giving a little bio information on the individuals, so we're clear about who we're voting for. And we keep the process moving. We can't keep doing the same 2 hours of just back and forth and arguing. It's not going to work. So let's be clear about our process and let's stick to that.
Thank you, Commissioner Watson. At the beginning of the meeting, I just want to say, we do need to have clear criteria in terms of who we are going to nominate. And it should be based on the gaps that exist on the commission, which, based on the demographic information that was provided, includes D1, if we just look at geographical, D1 and D3. If we just limit it to that. So we need to agree, and to agree, sometimes you have to compromise and give up something, not something emotional, but based on just some criteria that we can all agree on. And it's important that we do have a serious review of the applications. I sat for almost 8 hours and looked at all the applications. And because people took the time out of their schedules to apply. And so I wanted to give them at least that much courtesy. And then looking at the composition of the current commission, I did see there are some voids on the commission. So my point is, we do need to come up with some hard and fast criteria that we could all agree on going forward in filling these seats in a defensible manner, particularly if we just use D1 and D3. That's where the void is. And then and we could do a combination of those with regard to the lack of Hispanic representation here. Then we have possibly an age difference as well. I mean, we can find a combination of all in terms of filling those seats. But given the fact that we've already voted on one seat, we should definitely entertain Commissioner Harris's vote, and let's vote on it and move forward. But for the remaining seats, let's put some criteria together that we can all agree on and move forward.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just want to say this before we go to the vote. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with Ms. Santos. I agree with all of the comments in regard to getting to the good work, but we can't do some things over here and then do other things over here. And so the question becomes, why did we vote on Ms. Tammy Giles to be appointed to this commission if we knew what we're now bringing up? Why did we not bring up then what we are bringing up now, that we should review? Because I don't know who Ms. Tammy Giles is, and I know a lot of people in the Jewish community. I don't know who Tammy Giles is, and so to me, it doesn't matter to me. I think that the point needs to be that there is a clear rule that we're going to use for one thing if we're going to use it for the other, which is really, I think, the shameful part about what we're having a conversation about, because we're saying we need to do all these things after we've already appointed somebody who, in fact, is already serving on another commission.
Right. Okay, Commissioner Harris, I think you're absolutely right, is that we should have consistent criteria, and we do not. And we put the cart before the horse, right? So at this point, we need to decide, because, I'm tired. There's too much on the table right now in terms of issues in this community that we need to address. So I'm to the point where we need to decide, are we going to proceed with these two seats that we just voted on, or the one seat we voted on, and then we have your motion on the floor, and then going forward, we will agree on criteria to fill the remaining seats. Because unless Rachel, we can start over again.
Could we pull that nomination? Is that possible? And just go entirely pull the vote? Or is there any way we can rescind the vote, Rachel?
Commissioner Harris, you can rescind your motion.
Okay, Commissioner Harris here, I'll rescind my motion to vote on the nomination of Estela de los Rios, with the understanding that we would vote on rescinding the previous nomination by Member Ramirez.
Well, that was a vote, correct? So that was a vote. So there would have to be another motion to reconsider that nomination. So there would have to be another motion on the floor to reconsider that nomination, then vote to reconsider that nomination, and then that person would not be considered a member.
Correct.
So there would have to be a motion by a commission member.
Commissioner, Chairwoman Nash, this is Summer Stephan. May I speak?
Sure, absolutely.
So I the process may have been not perfect or perfect, but we are a human relations commission, and whether it was perfect or not perfect, Nicole Ramirez's motion, it was voted on, and I think it is in poor taste and disrespectful to the process, to the vote, and to Chair Ramirez, also to Tammy Gillis. I don't think it's right to vote and then take back a vote when there has not been an error that the county council has told us about. It doesn't mean we can't improve the process going into the future. We're learning, we're improving, but I think it is just not respectful. And one thing I insist on, just like you, Chairwoman, is respect and dignity. And this would make this commission start off disrespectful. And I don't think we should do that. I think we can continue to improve the processes. That's my suggestion.
Chairwoman, we have Commissioner Murray Ramirez, his hand raised.
Commissioner Ramirez? Did you say Commissioner Ramirez? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this
Yes.
is Commissioner Ramirez. In all due respect, it seems to me that my motion and nomination has in many ways been questioned. And I want to make it very clear that I've informed all of you of my years, decades of trying to get this commission back on as a county human relations commission. Being only successful, and I don't think you all understand, you can check it out, we did not have the 3 votes. Supervisor Roberts did not have the 3 votes. District Attorney Bonnie DeManis did not have the 3 votes. After the attack on the synagogue, did we have a unanimous vote? That being said, I know that I'm not the only one that got calls from leaders in the Jewish community very concerned of their unrepresentation on this commission. So in answering them, I asked them who they wanted to have on this commission, and I gave out and sent out, I believe there was a letter sent out from me, of 3 nominees from the Jewish community. That being said, Tammy has an impeccable reputation and leadership in the Jewish community. I also serve on the city's Human Relations Commission, and let me tell you, they are entirely different. But I stand by my nomination of Tammy, and I do not withdraw it.
So, Chair Nash, I want to be clear. This is not a response to the Jewish community. I am an ally of the community. I stood with the community. When the synagogues attacks happened, I stood with rabbis. I'm not against the Jewish community. This is not an attack on the Jewish community. What I'm saying is fair rules. If we appointed someone, which I get what Commissioner Member Stefan is saying, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful in that context. What I am saying, though, is that if someone else brings up a motion to appoint another individual, then why are we pushing back against that motion before the motion can even get a vote? Why are we trying to have conversation about, well, we shouldn't appoint another individual? That is the fairness that I am dealing with, that I brought forth a motion to appoint another individual from another missing community in this commission. And my motion is being attacked as though it is there's something wrong with it, while the other motion that was brought forth with an individual was not attacked in that way, or was not seen as, well, let's just wait until we review everything. And so what I'm saying is that we cannot have review everything on one side and then not have it on the other side. That is all I'm dealing with.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Thank you, Commissioner Stefan. I think at this point, the motion is on the floor.
Actually, Chairwoman, the motion has been removed by Chairman Harris. At this time, there is not a motion on the floor, and just as a time check awareness, there's 19 minutes left in the meeting.
The motion to appoint, I removed the motion in regard to the rescinding of Mr. Ramirez's vote, but I am bringing forth a motion that Estela de los Rios be appointed to the San Diego County Human Relations Commission today.
Okay.
I second it. I second.
And it was second. All right. And there was tons of discussion. So Rachel, Andrew, can we move to the vote?
Let's vote. We can.
Let's move to the vote.
All right. Commissioner Ortiz.
Yes.
Commissioner Elliott Santos.
Yes.
I vote yes.
Commissioner Watson.
Yes.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Yes.
Commissioner Morones.
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Chasen,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Issa,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Soy, Commissioner Soy, Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Stefan,
Yes.
Commissioner Hassani,
Yes.
Commissioner Kotula,
Yes.
Vice Chair Arton.
Yes.
Madam Chairwoman, that motion passes with all members saying aye.
Great, okay. Thank you for the vote and the outcome. Based on that heavy duty discussion, whew, we got there. All right, so.
Can I make a motion?
Yes. Hold
Can I
on.
make a motion that we go ahead from this point forward and follow the protocol that we voted for and start talking about underrepresented communities and not make any additional individual recommendations or nominations until we've had that discussion.
I second that motion. Commissioner
Any
Evans.
discussion? Any discussion?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Watson. I agree with the motion, but I would also want us to stop limiting 3 minutes like we talked about and not get overly bogged down so that we don't get to the other issues that need to be done.
All right.
Can we maybe establish some sort of parking lot so that there is a 3-minute discussion rule that's there that we can agree on? Because there's a lot of redundancy, and I think we got the message the very first time issues were brought up regarding the situation.
Any more discussion? Okay, does this require a vote? Andrew, Rachel, does it require a vote?
Yes, it does.
Okay, let's vote. Roll call.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Yes.
Commissioner Santos,
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes, emphatically.
Commissioner Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Morones,
Yes, and I want to remind, we only got 15 minutes and we got a public comment person waiting.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Chasen, Commissioner Chasen.
She had to go to school, I believe. She put it
Okay.
in the comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Issa,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Soy,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Stefan,
Yes.
Commissioner Hassani,
Yes.
Commissioner Kotula,
Yes.
Commissioner Arton.
Yes.
Madam Chairwoman, that passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda, we have a public comment.
I have one public comment. I believe somebody's in the waiting room. You are free to continue to discuss this item, which is to identify the underrepresented communities. But you have a little less than 15 minutes. So if you wanted to take the public speaker and then continue the remainder of the items to your next meeting, you would be able to do that.
That would be a good idea.
I think that's a great idea.
I'd be open to that.
Let's,
So let's go ahead and take our one public speaker, I believe, Lori Saldani, if you're on a line. you are free to speak.
Good morning, commissioners, and thank you. I've been listening to your discussion, and I understand how challenging it can be to form a new commission in person, let alone when you are on your separate computers in different locations. So I are with you as you go through the process. I just want to encourage commission members, as you consider appointments, to realize that form follows function. And this is my second meeting listening in, and I'm still not clear, frankly, what the function of this board is. If it's to establish better policy making at the county level to ensure equity and diversity and fairness for the citizens of our region, then I would say that in addition to the groups that have been discussed for inclusion on appointments, to consider other groups that are not represented in traditional demographic studies. And that includes people with disabilities. We have organizations that represent them. I would reach out to them for representation on the commission. We have dementia, Alzheimer caregivers who are increasingly in need of better representation, access to public services. We have homelessness. We have people experiencing that, and their advocates that I think would be well represented on this board. We have survivors of violence, both domestic violence. The Center for Community Solutions might be a good addition. But we also have survivors of police violence. I think their voices are very important. So in other words, as much as I hear discussions of the demographics of different ethnic and racial and religious communities, I'm not talking about the lived experience of people who this county has historically not served very well. And as a lifelong San Diegan who has seen people fall through the cracks of social services, beginning even in childhood, foster care. So please remember, the form of this commission needs to follow the function, goals, and what you are striving to achieve, and bring in those people who are currently maybe voiceless. As a recently retired teacher, I realized those who didn't raise their hand in class were every bit as essential to our discussion as those who raised their hands. And right now, there's a lot of people who have been raising their hands for many years and having attention paid to them. Please do a better job of finding those people who are not raising their hands and bring them into this commission as you are forming your membership. And even if that includes adding additional seats and representatives from the disabled community, from older adult caregivers, from survivors of violence. So that's what I've been hoping to comment on. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your work. And I do wish you success in forming this new commission.
Chairwoman, that concludes your business for today. If you would like to adjourn the meeting and move the remaining items to the next commission meeting.
Chair Nash, I had my hand raised. This is Commission Member Harris. Am I recognized?
Yes.
Before we go, I would like to ask that we pull this agenda item. I would no longer like to push for the organizational representation. I feel that that's being addressed in the previous vote that I supported in Commission Member Roberts. I think that if there's any gaps to fill, we can analyze it down the road. And so I'd be open to doing that. I'd also like to say, ask that I don't know if we can do a resolution or an acknowledgement, but acknowledging those that are suffering in the fires in the East County. We lift our prayers and our thoughts to them. Those who have been hurt by the fire, we're hearing from many people who have lost their homes. Some lost their trailers or their horses or their pets are in danger. And so I don't know what we can do just in acknowledging that, but I'd like to ask that we acknowledge those affected by the wildfires here in San Diego County.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Can we do the resolution? Rachel, Andrew?
Yes, so for purposes of withdrawing agenda item 7, discussion of additional commission seats, that will be removed from the next agenda. With regard to the authority to do resolutions, because your commission has not yet established its duties and responsibilities, you don't have authority to do those types of things, but Commissioner Harris's comments are on the record from that standpoint.
Okay.
I would echo
But that would be
those
something to
concerns.
consider when your commission does determine what its duties and responsibilities. That is something that could be considered at that time.
Okay, thank you. I see Commissioner Taylor's hand.
Yes, so at this point, are we accepting additional applications or only using the ones we have?
I know there's one more coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Any applications that are received will of course be forwarded to your commission for consideration as they're received.
Thank you, Rita.
Okay. All right. So can we now adjourn this meeting? I nominate.
You don't need a motion.
Can I make one
Don't
more
need a
point?
motion, do I?
No.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Bye, boss. Have a good one.
This morning, and